friends, welcome back to another Renae's Corner video. I'm Renae, and first I just want to say happy summer. I am so excited for it to be summer. Y'all don't even know. Like, I'm so excited for it to be June. This is the last month of internship. I'm just so ready to be done. I'm ready for this chapter of my life to be closed, and quite frankly, it is not wrapping up fast enough. And if you've seen the May recap, you'll know that May was just like hot chaos. It's been so busy around here. And so yeah, so happy June. I hope that you all are gearing up for a beautiful summer. I'm hoping that it won't be too hot. And yeah. So at my defense, I was asked a question about, like, now that I've defended my dissertation, like this was after I had done the presentation, what are some of the things that I would like give tips on for defense day? And so I'm gonna go through some of the things that I thought about and some of the things I said, I think, in that answer, and then I thought it would make just a good video for people to watch. So the first thing I would say is practice. I know people tell you to practice your defense, practice presentations, practice public speaking, all of those things. But it really, like, it's so invaluable because, like, I feel like for my master's thesis and my dissertation, I had practiced it so much that, like, by the time it came to, like, actually do the thing, it's kind of like muscle memory. And, like, honestly, like, if you ask me now, like, how I was feeling when I was presenting, I have no thoughts because it was like muscle memory. I was just going through the things. Wow, this watch tan is gnarly. I was just going through the motions. And so I would highly recommend you practice. So I practice with people who make me nervous. So my parents, I practice with a really good friend, and he's like someone who makes me nervous just because of who he is. He's so intelligent. And so I practice in front of him. I practiced in front of him a couple of times. And I just, like, kept running it every day up until defense day. I think I started practicing that Saturday, like really getting my slides together that Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning, the day of my defense, I was just hammering it. I was just going and doing it. That might have been a little bit of overkill, but I felt like it just made me feel more prepared, and it just was like muscle memory so that I didn't have to, like, really spend a lot of time thinking about what I was going to say because I had already practiced what I was going to say. So that's my number one tip. I think that I remember people saying it when I was like a first year, but like it really makes such a difference. The second thing I would say is consider, like, well, okay, so the second tip I would say is, like, take the whole day off. I know if you're anything like me, I had considered working the morning and then, like, doing my defense that afternoon. Don't do that. Do not listen to that little voice in your head that's like, oh, I can totally work in the morning. No, take the whole day off. And then as you're thinking about scheduling the defense, like, you have to consider what your committee is available for, but also consider what you are, like the times that you're the best, right? And so my defense was at like 2 p.m., but like I had to wait that whole morning before I could, like, defend, which I don't know. It was fine, but, like, hindsight being 2020, I would have wished that I had, like, scheduled it earlier in the day so I would have been able to get it over with, because I was so hungry by the time the defense day started. But I have a very sensitive and weak stomach, so I know if I would have ate, I would have been, like, queasy, and I wouldn't have given my best performance. And so for you, that might look like, okay, I need to make sure I eat a good breakfast, or I might need to schedule my defense in the morning. So just consider, like, what time of day you're scheduling it. I wish that I had scheduled it, like, a little bit earlier, but I don't regret scheduling it at 2 because that's the time my committee had available, I had available, and it was fine. So just consider, like, are you going to be okay waiting to eat? Are you going to be okay, like, waiting around if you take the whole day off? When you take the whole day off, take the whole day off. For the defense, you want to make sure that, like, you have other things to do to occupy your time. So what I did was I ran through my presentation that morning at like 9 a.m. and then I just, like, loitered around the house. I was just, like, mulling around, got dressed really slowly, woke up late. Like, I just, like, you know, like, did some things so that I was, like, occupying my time, but not, like, cognitively taxing tasks that would occupy my time. Tip number 3 is, like, do baseline self-care as much as possible. Make sure you get enough sleep. Make sure you eat a good meal the night before if you know you're not going to be able to eat the day of. Make sure you do some meditations, get calm, make sure that your heart rate is good, make sure that you're like you're feeling calm, like cool, calm, and collected. And I remember when people were defending and they were like, people would ask them like, how do they feel? And they're just like, I just feel calm and ready. Like that's where you want to be. And so think about the things that will really make you be that way. So for me, it was like going to bed early. It was like practicing that night before. It was eating one of my favorite meals the night before. And then like, yeah, just like baseline self-care things that you should be doing anyways. I took a long shower. I meditated the night before. I kikied it up with friends because like, I don't know how many times I've said it on the channel, but socializing to me is like so restorative. And so I did that the night before and it made for a very easy defense day. Let me think. Let's see. Get enough rest. Consider. Okay. Also, the fourth thing, and I think this will be maybe the last thing I'll say, is maybe not the last thing. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Is that consider what you're going to do afterwards and plan it out. I am a person who like, I don't know what happens when like big things happen to me, like match day and defense day. I was like stuck for a couple hours. Like I was so excited and so just overwhelmed and just like so relieved. I was just like, I couldn't do anything. But I wish I had planned out what I was going to do the rest of that day. Like some people on social media, they were like, oh, I booked a massage right after, or I like had dinner with friends or celebrated and things like that. My camera's going to die. So hang on one second. Just some mild technical difficulties. What was I saying? Oh yes, you want to plan out what you're going to do afterwards, because it is so much easier to execute a plan rather than to be planning that day. So I wish that I had like planned a massage or booked a massage that day, or I wish I had like already planned out where I was going to eat that day. I wish I had already planned out some of the like little celebration I was going to do. I really wish that like, yeah, in some ways I wish I just had more friends in Gainesville to celebrate, but I also just wish I had like thought that through more. Because I didn't, and I just kind of went into it and winged it, and then I defended, and then from like, I want to say my defense was over at like close to like, I can't even remember what time, but it was like from like 4 p.m. until like 6:30. Like I just sat in here and I was like, I don't know what to do with my time right now. I wish I would have like planned a little bit more beforehand to like go do something, go celebrate, go just have a plan, honestly, because I didn't have any type of game plan. I was just like, oh no, I'll defend and it'll be fine. But then like I was kind of like, I don't know, I just was like, I wish I had planned more. Let's just leave it at that. And then the last thing I want to say is that going into defense day, I know people always say this, but like, you really are the person who knows your data backwards and forward, and you're the person who knows the studies backwards and forward. Your advisor knows probably a lot of it, but like you are the person who is like in the trenches doing the research. And so like go into defense day like knowing that, and like that being your affirmation for the week. Like, I'm the person who knows this the most because it's your study and it's your dissertation. And I feel like me using that as like, excuse me, my affirmation for the week was really helpful, because it was like I went into my defense very confidently, especially about the parts of the defense that like I felt like this is kind of like surface level understanding, but like I knew what I had done, and I knew that I had known the study the best. For example, I'm not a stats person. I have never claimed to be a person who knows stats very well. However, I was like very clear about like the results I received, or the results that I found when I was presenting my dissertation. I was like, here's the results, here's what this really means, here's what this means in layman's terms. And I was very confident about that because I had practiced it a lot, and I had like sat with this data and thought about this for a long time. And so that by the time defense day came, I was like, okay, I know what this means. Like, this means that this I can't even, I should like put in the slides about where I'm talking about my stats, but the point is that like I know that I was prepared to have questions about stats. And then when it came down to it, my committee was like, oh no, your stats were beautiful because you were so confident about what you had did and what you had learned and the results. And so go into your defense feeling like you are the bee's knees and you know what you're talking about, because that will carry through in your presentation, and it might make it so that the committee and your audience might not have as much questions because you're coming in with such confidence and like as the authority of this study, which I felt like really helped me. I think those are all the tips I had. I think that's 5. I really just hope that your defense day goes well. I'm sure it will. Remember that like your advisor, I mean, I would hope that your advisor would not let you defend unless you're ready. And for me, an added like pressure and added like understanding was that like I didn't ever, and I don't ever want to embarrass my advisor. Like if you've seen me on social media and you know who my advisor is, she is amazing. And so like I texted her and I was like, hey, if we're not ready to defend, I don't want to embarrass myself, but I also don't want to embarrass you. And she's like, if you're not ready, we won't go through with it. But she's like, I think you are ready. We're really, really close. And so remember that a good advisor, hopefully you have a good advisor, will not let you defend and embarrass yourself if you're not ready. And so for me, that helped ease a little bit of the nervousness, but I was still pretty nervous. But I did feel like pretty like calm, like nervous, but like nervous and like, okay, let's like do this. I'm gonna present my research in front of my family, friends, colleagues, and I'm just ready to do it. So those are all of my dissertation defense day tips. If you have any questions about other dissertation stuff, I would be happy to answer them. You can leave a comment below, and if it's like a really, if it's like a question that I need to explain more, I'll do a video on it. So thanks so much for watching. If you've watched this far, leave a blue emoji, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, and I love you all so much. Bye.